amazing guests to help you find stability and opportunity in any marketplace. Today we have this really amazing topic and really amazing guest, Mike LaFido. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yep, Mike is an expert in the luxury market. Don't tune out yet. I'm going to explain what that is. But for the audience, could you give us a tech check? Just sign in and let us know that you can hear us, you can see us. Let us know where you're watching from. That's always good for Mike to know how far this is reaching. So let us know where you're tuning in from. And we'll have those come in. While those are coming in, I'm waiting for a thumbs up from the guys on the back end here. Got it. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or our website or all of the other places where we stream this show, the goal for you is to participate. We have a lot of things we want to get through in a short amount of time, but if you have questions, we'll try to get to those. I've got those pulled up so I can see quite a few of those and ask your questions. And Mike, why don't we get started with you giving a short introduction of who you are and why you're the expert that we should be talking about when it comes to the luxury market.
Well, first off, thanks for the opportunity. One of the things I want to do, of course, is bring value and help agents think a little bit differently. And, first off, before I go into my story, I've done these trainings last year. We did 34 trainings across the U.S. And we have a lot of agents that say, well, we don't have luxury in my market. I'm not in Beverly Hills, or I'm not in this resort market. And I believe luxury is all relative to every market. So every market's got that top 10, that top 20% of price points. I was doing a training in Crown Point, Indiana for Matt Fagioli and Explode Conference, and the average sale price there, was in the 100 range. And I had somebody come up to me afterward and say, well, I was hesitant to come today because we don't have $1 million sales here. But we define luxury as home prices that are 3 times the average sale price for any market. So every market's got an average sale price. So if the average sale price is 100, 3 times 100 would be 300 and above would be luxury. And the step below luxury and there's usually more of those, is 2 times the average sale price, and we call that high-end home. So I want to make sure I address the elephant in the room, because you mentioned, hey, don't zoom out because you might not think you have luxury. I do believe luxury is relative in all markets, and our goal in helping agents is give them the tools and the resources so that they can increase their average sale price and work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and that was something we talked about in the pre-show. I didn't want people to tune out because I knew that was your definition, and every market has luxury with that definition. Every market has high-end homes, and that's kind of your expertise. So as you kind of give an intro to who you are, why don't you also include why this is your niche and why you started getting into this?
So I'm based in the Chicago suburbs. Again, Chicagoland's been a buyer's market in that luxury space for 10 plus years. And so really out of necessity, we always had to be creative to draw attention on our unique properties and get our high-end and luxury properties sold. And so I practice what I preach. I have a consulting company. I've written books and podcasts and all that. But we do sell high-end and luxury properties. We had a record sale 2 weeks ago in a town called Naperville, Illinois. It was $4.75 million. And you can probably see the sign right behind me here that says "Prove them wrong." I had an agent. I listed this home. Again, luxury sales take a lot longer, as you can imagine, in these difficult markets. So most agents, right, they want this quick, easy button. They want quick sales, and you definitely want to diversify your portfolio. So you want to have more entry-level homes and average price homes. That's what pays the bills, and those turn over quickly. But you want to add some high-end and luxury to your portfolio, and that's how you increase your average sale price and make more money. I'm a big Dan Kennedy fan, and Dan Kennedy talked about the term slack adjuster. A slack adjuster might be that $4 million sale. That could be a 6-figure check that helps adjust for maybe some of those lean months. But we sell high-end and luxury properties. in the Chicagoland area. We help agents and brokerages launch luxury divisions or launch into the luxury space. And again, I'm a student of the game. I can always learn from everybody. So I don't like to say I'm the expert by any means, because I do believe success is a journey, not a destination. But we certainly are learning. We're certainly raising the bar. And that's really what our goal is.
That's awesome. I mean, for the audience, Mike didn't even get into it. Thank you for your humility there. But Mike goes around the country, has the only luxury designation, and you teach a lot of classes. I don't want to get into that now, but I want people to know that even though you might not say you're the expert because you're always learning, I think that you have a system, a proven system to work this luxury market. What is luxury doing right now? Because at least in our market, my local market, it wasn't doing great for a long time. In fact, that days on market was getting longer and longer and longer for those high end and luxury categories there. What are you seeing around the country in terms of what has COVID done to that market?
Yeah, so we were really worried. We were worried that we're seeing really the exact opposite in most markets. We're seeing the consumer looking at their assets, their bank account or whatever is, hey, listen, during the shelter in place, the first wave or the second wave, or maybe this thing isn't even going away in 2020, our primary residence, we want to have, maybe a pool, where pools maybe aren't as desirable in some markets, more desirable in those markets. We want to have two offices or a third office. We want to have a private yard. We want to have a yard. These are some things that you're not seeing. We weren't anticipating necessarily with COVID-19. We saw that stock market plunge from 30,000 down to 20,000. And I thought that the market, a lot of people were predicting a recession. We thought the market was going to really slow down, but we're seeing the exact opposite in the luxury space.
That's amazing, which provides an opportunity. Again, I think just to reiterate what Mike said earlier, I think the opportunity is not to shift your business focus to purely luxury. He's saying diversify your listing portfolio so that you can get these to increase your average sale price over time. I think that's the goal here. And if this is a hot market, again, we bring people on. The name of this podcast for so long was Stability and Opportunity. And that is what we're doing. And if the opportunity is in luxury right now, I want Mike to help us break it down. So we talked. Tell me, Mike. Tell me how somebody is going to break into this market.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually the number one question I get asked, which is a great question. So there's many ways that somebody could break into luxury. I'll first say, before I give you some tools and resources and some strategies, the first is often overlooked, and I call it the foundation. Just like you can't build a house on a weak foundation, you can't build your business. You can't build your book of business on a weak foundation. And so mindset is huge here. And so I share that with you because it doesn't matter what brokerage you're with or how many years you've been licensed, or if you've come from wealth. Sure, if you come from wealth and your database and your friends that you went to high school with and you remember the country club, is it a lot easier to break into luxury? Absolutely. But check those excuses at the door if you don't come from that, because you still can differentiate and break into luxury. And so I did a training recently, pre-COVID. We had over 50 agents in the luxury designation training, and I had an agent during the Q&A and the objection handling portion of our training ask, hey, Mike, there's already 4 luxury agents in my market. There's no room for a 5th. And my response is, that's it? There's only 4? Now, she could have said there's 28 luxury agents in my market. There's no room for the 29th. And my response would have been the same. There's only 28. So it's really a shift in your mindset. So there's an opportunity there, especially if you're passionate and you're willing to differentiate yourself. Everybody's looking for this easy button, unfortunately, and real estate isn't easy, right? It's a contact sport. I mean, you have to communicate with people. You have to follow up. I tell real estate agents, shy real estate agents, have skinny kids. I mean, you can't be shy in this industry. You have to step out of your comfort zone. But getting back to your original question, first and foremost is the foundation, working on the mindset. You know, Lisa Hayes says, be careful how you talk to yourself, because guess what? You are listening. So are you telling yourself, hey, you know what, there's 365 days a year. Yesterday was a terrible day, but man, I hit that reset button and today's going to be an amazing day. That's why I look forward so much. I'm coaching my kids' baseball team, and I'm not that huge baseball guy, but they needed a coach. But, you know, those kids strike out, and at this age, at age 8, 9, and 10, they get emotional. They sometimes cry when they strike out. And I tell them, hey, guys, shake it off. You know, like, hey, this next at bat, you're going to get a hit. You're going to get a hit. Just like the book, I Think I Can, with the train, right? So it's like you really have to have a strong mindset. And it's tough to do that. It's tough to do that when the market's soft, or the market, you can work hard as you want, but sometimes you can't will yourself to a sale. And so that's difficult. So number one is mindset. And let's get into some resources next.
Yeah.
But
Well, I have a question about mindset. I think mindset, you know, everything we do is about actively going after new business. And there's always going to be an objection. And if the agent doesn't believe in the answer that they're giving, then it doesn't work. They don't move forward. And often even in any, whether it's luxury or the lower end homes, if somebody says, well, how many homes have you sold in my price range? Or, you know, these things matter to the mindset. And I think maybe they shouldn't, is what you're saying. But
yeah, they
I already know that that's the number one question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm coaching an agent right now out of Virginia, Jose, and Jose went on a $2 million listing appointment recently. And for him, that would have been a trophy listing. And he kind of got stumped by the seller. And so we're working on that a little bit. But, you know, I created these objection handling playing cards earlier this year. And they're basically playing cards that have different mindset, as well as different objections that sellers can throw at you, and how can you answer them. You always want to be honest. So if you don't have any luxury sales and they ask you, how many have you said, you know, you can be honest, say, I haven't, but you know what, our office is number one in luxury, and I've learned from them. And so one of the things, if you hire me, is I'm going to incorporate them. I'm going to get them to look at your property to give some ideas and a marketing plan. And so be honest with them. People want, you know, Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Peace Prize winner, once stated, people would rather do business with someone they like and they trust, even if that person is offering a lower quality product and service at a higher price, versus someone they don't like and they trust. So if you're likable and you're honest, but people see you're hungry, okay, then you're more likely to get hired. So that is, though, the elephant in the room, why many sellers don't even do, why many agents don't even do some prospecting or lead generation, because of the what ifs. What if they ask me this, Curtis? What if they ask me that, right? The what ifs will drive you nuts. And, you know, you probably wouldn't have met your wife if it were for what ifs. And I wouldn't have met mine. So just do it.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So where do they get started? I may come back to that when we're talking, if it comes up in terms of scripts and objections.
Yeah.
But, so where do people get started? I mean, I'm an agent.
You have a strong mindset, right? You got strong mindset.
Yep,
so,
mindset.
So, but how do you strengthen your mindset, right? So what are you listening to? You know, podcast. Which Facebook groups are you listening to? Do you have any accountability partners? You know, I tell agents all the time, grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. Grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. If you're more knowledgeable, you're more confident. If you're more confident, Curtis, you'll do more prospecting and lead gen, and better, you know, with the REDX, right? You guys provide phone numbers and you cross scrub data to make sure a home's not listed. You know, what better time to do some prospecting in some of those upper end markets? If you haven't sold them before, that's okay.
I like that. Okay, so I got my mindset. What's next?
So your mindset, and then what are you doing to grow your knowledge, right? So podcast, what are you reading? What are you listening to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? again, I have a podcast as well. We're about to release our 100th podcast next week. And on one of my podcasts, I had a Compass agent out of Miami. I think his Twitter handle is the Indian Realtor. His name is Amit Bhutta. And Amit talked about when he broke into luxury, what he did. And of course, with shelter in place, some of these things you might not be able to do today. But he would attend broker opens in his market for high-end and luxury properties only. And he would get permission from the listing agent ahead of time, but he'd post about it, take some pictures, do a Facebook Live. And let's face it, people are on their smartphone, and you watch it. I'm sure people will flip through and see a live video, not even listen because maybe your phone's on mute to by default, but you see Curtis walking around these amazing homes every week, and they don't realize you're not the listing agent. You should disclose, but they could have it on mute or don't even read, and they just power of association. They see you around high-end and luxury events all the time, and I say, oh, that's right. I forgot Curtis is in real estate. Hey, Curtis, I know somebody that's been trying to sell their high-end and luxury home. Would you be interested?
Interesting. I love that. And I've seen you do that still, even with your reputation being on Forbes, interviewed on Forbes and the news and everywhere else for your expertise in luxury. I see you all the time. If you're visiting a city, you go visit the high luxury homes and go, and I've seen a lot of your posts say, hey, this is what $5 million will buy you in whatever city I'm in. And you
Dallas, Salt Lake, whatever. Yep. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
and that's about brand building. That makes sense to me because my background's marketing, and it's about building your brand. And one way which answers the other objection. I've never done this. They're going to vet you, and they're going to look. And if all you're talking about is, and maybe not all, but if you incorporate a lot of that high end homes and things, that starts to position you in the marketplace as somebody who deals with luxury homes.
Yeah, I believe the fastest way for an agent, a broker owner, or a team leader to get instant credibility from your database, your sphere, people that know you, like you, and trust you. Matter of fact, people that don't know you that well or like you or trust you, is if you work that high-end space. And if you land that first high-end and trophy listing, boom, you get that instant credibility factor. Let's face it. You're going to get a lot more likes and loves for your $1 million and $2 million and $5 million listings than you will in those entry level. It shouldn't be, but that's just the society we're in. Look at Instagram. You don't see a lot of good looking models with rusty cars or with the muscle cars or the exotic cars. The cars and the upper ends are going to get more likes and more views and more shares. And so, but the one thing I will caution you is if you focus only on luxury, there's going to be a segment of your database and your sphere that says, oh, well, Curtis is too busy. He won't list my mom's entry-level home. So when you do list those entry-level homes or those starter homes or those average price homes, don't forget to talk about them as well. I've recently sold a $93,000 vacant lot. Okay, but I talked about that on one of my posts. I said, hey, we help everybody. Some buying, some selling, under $100,000, which is, really entry level in my market. So, you got to diversify your post as well. It can't just be one-sided.
No, I like that. That's great advice. So I start to build a brand around that I do this, and you start to post things, and that will help you in the conversations. How do you find, is it different to prospect and find leads in the luxury market? Is it, or?
Well, I look at marketing. I teach this in our designation. I look at marketing as two forms of marketing. There's warm marketing, people that know you, like you, trust you, your sphere, your database, people that you build relationships with. That's warm. Okay. And the opposite of warm is cold marketing, prospecting,
right.
Prospecting, cold marketing, lead gen, FSBOs, canceled, expired, other people's open houses, door knocking. So there's two trains of thought. I get asked this all the time, Mike, if I were to move, to Bozeman, Montana, what would be the first three things I would do to break into luxury? Well, number one is I would join that chamber, and I would join chambers, maybe multiple, that service high-end and luxury businesses and clientele. The second thing I would do is I would join an office or a team or hire a coach that would help me break into and sell more luxury for that market. And then the third, so those are warm marketing,
Right.
relationships. And then the third would be cold. That would be lead gen prospecting, builders, cancels, expireds. I literally used to send a silver platter in the mail to expired listings that were $2 million plus with high-end letters. So, a nice high-end mailer in there.
Well, hold on. You got to explain that a little bit. Show us that silver platter and then tell us what you did. Because again, we like things that give people tangible ideas that they're going to get off the call and go, I'm going to go try that.
Yeah, can you hear this? This is a silver platter. Literally, I got a $5 million listing once just on this. The seller said, you got my attention. And so I'm a big believer that when everybody goes left, you go right. So when agents are, maybe a home comes off the market at 9 a.m. and there's 60 phone calls because a bold class just got released, I'd rather be one of 10 agents that send a mailer than one of 60. The laws, the percentages are greater. 10%, 1 in 10 versus 1 in 60, whatever that percent is. And so my point is, most people are terrible at follow-up, and most people might send one mailer or two or three. And even if you're not creative, you can send the mailer, the same one over and over again, and just write second notice, final notice, or whatever. But I would do silver platters. I would do stuff to get people's attention with our actual mailers. Now, I haven't done any lead gen or prospecting in a few years, but we're going to start doing a little bit more of that. And the silver platter mailer, I sent bank bags in the mail. I'd send shredded money. You name it, we've done it. We've tried it. I've sent a letter coming from my dog, like literally it's got a picture of my dog, and it's, hey, if you haven't hired Michael LaFido, you got to be a squirrel looking for a nut. It was just like things like this. Just be different, and you're going to upset some people, but like the great Steve Jobs once says, if you want to make everybody happy, go sell ice cream.
All right, and so and then your message, of course, with the silver platter is about the service you're going to offer them.
Serving you a higher selling price, all on silver platter, basically. So then we give a lot of case studies and testimonials. You got to have great testimonials. I wrote a book once just on pictures only. It's called Outside the Box. It's a book I wrote for my consulting business, and it's just all before and after pictures. And so, just be creative, be outside the box, have fun with whatever you do, and be likable. Like Danielle Kamen said, people would rather do business with someone they like and they trust.
Right. Okay. So now I'm out there prospecting because even Amanda on that's listening asked the same question. I mean, are you marketing differently to them than your other leads? I think we've touched upon that a little bit, but would you invest more in the lead follow-up in a high-end or luxury category than you would your average listing?
So my mentor once says, what is a sale worth to you? And what will you cheerfully spend to get a new client? So let's just say it's a $2 million lead. In other words, a $2 million seller. And keep it really simple. Let's just say, 3% is your average listing commission, 6, and you pay out 3 and 3, so 3 on the list side, $60,000 in gross commissions you have on the line. So that's what a sale is worth to you. And what will you cheerfully spend or invest to do that? So to answer her question, yeah, you have to be smart though, right? You don't want to just churn money. So for example, in a buyer's market, which we still are considered a buyer's market in the $1 million plus price point in Chicagoland, you could go out of business real quick, for example, as a marketing agent, as a listing agent, if you paid for all professional staging, right? But if it's a seller's market and you know that there's a high probability that the homes are selling quickly, then you'd make more of an investment in staging upfront than maybe in a buyer's market. So you have to be smart with what you're doing. You got to run your business like a business. But to answer her question, yes, you want to probably spend a little bit more in high touch, higher class materials than if it's more entry level. And then the second part of it is if you get the listing, Curtis, yeah, you're probably going to have to invest a little bit more time and energy in some collateral, which we could talk about as well.
Yeah, tell us. I mean, I did have that written down of that. We've questions from people is what. Let's say you get the listing.
Now what?
Yeah, now what? I mean, this is it's 3 times the average sale price in the market. So are you spending 3 times as much? Are you spending 10 times as much? And I know it's what you would cheerfully spend to get it, but again, being smart, you got to weigh the option of is this thing going to sell or not, or is it going to sit on market for 120 days before it sells?
Yeah, so you have to be really smart about it. So to answer your question, I don't have a one size fits all marketing budget per luxury listing. I look at each luxury listing's unique. But a couple things. So let's talk about some basics that are no different really for all price point of homes, but particularly in luxury. You have to have amazing photos, right? That's a must. The photos have to be, they got to draw you in. I mean, we're basically in a Tinder industry at all price points, and people are either swiping left or right on the phone if they don't like the house they're looking at. So you got to have amazing photos. You can bring in the best copywriter in the world, and it doesn't matter if the photos think they're not going to read the description. So amazing photos. I do believe in video. I'm a huge video proponent for high-end and luxury properties. One of the things that we've done for a lot of our trainings is when we go on listing appointments, people bring their laptops and we bring our video book. And I've shown you this before, Curtis, but it's got a 10-inch monitor and literally agents can upload, property videos to here. So if you were interviewing me, Curtis, this video here has got over 210,000 views. I would say, well, in this particular video, Mr. Seller, we brought in $2.5 million worth of vehicles. If you hire me, I'll do something similar. Or in this particular video, and on and on and on. My point is, get your creative juices flowing. So when you go on at a listing appointment, you have to know what the best features of the home are. And so that will help you secure the listing. But then, of course, when you get the listing, your job is to accentuate, as an agent, as a marketer, is to accentuate and lift up the best features of a home and downplay the least favorable. So, for example, I just put a home on the market last week for $1,950,000. It's a little over 9,000 square feet. And so we accentuated the best features. It had an indoor sunroom, a pool, a huge pool and hot tub. We really were front and center with that. And the homeowner, we had 51 photos. The homeowner took more than that, but the homeowner's like, hey, I noticed none of the guest bedrooms or the kid bedrooms weren't there. And so I said to EJazz, I said, for 1.9 million, 9,000 square feet, buyers are going to expect, 4 or 5 bedrooms. And I said, so I really accentuated the lifestyle and the unique features of it. Now, at the end of the day, I added a couple more photos because he requested them. But literally, you want those sellers to trust you so much as that leading authority, as that expert, where they give you the keys to the car, so to speak, and say, this is your baby, go do it. So amazing photos. Video. I like video over the 3D tools, the Matterports. But if it's a 10,000 square foot plus home, I'd recommend both. And then you have to have a heart-to-heart, on price. If there are no comparables out there, then you have to figure out a lot of different factors to determine price. You have the rebuild cost approach, you have the comparable approach, and then, of course, sellers always want to share with you, I have this much into it approach. Now, of course, the market doesn't care how much they have into it, but if they're willing to sell it at significantly less, then of course leverage that. It's difficult, Curtis, to create urgency in a buyer's market when so many consumers will say, well, why do I want to go see it right away? It's probably they're going to probably lower their price in a little anyways.
Okay, so photos, videos, video, if it's 4,000 square feet or more, you say videos and photos.
No, 10. So I said if it's 10,000 or more, photos, video, and 3D tour.
Okay.
But if it's a luxury condo, you could do video still, maybe of the entrance and some of the amenities, the pool, the secure garage, maybe 2 parking spots in downtown Chicago or some major city or a premium. Highlight that. I was helping an agent market a penthouse unit in Nashville. She brought me on to help her market it. And this particular garage, they did have multiple spots, which was a premium. It normally only came with one. They had two. So the owner had an exotic car and a classic car. We photographed those. We made that part of the story because it was very unique for that particular property. Then the other thing you have to look at is in real estate, we use the word feeder markets, but for the consumer, they care about migration patterns. But where are people coming into and going, and having relationships with those? So for example, unfortunately, we have a lot more people leaving Chicago. So on my listings, I have to know where are those people going to. And so I have to have relationships with agents in the Nashville market, in Florida, and in Texas, and Colorado, and in the Scottsdale market. I have to have great relationships there because I got to refer people out. But if I have migration people moving in and where the buyers are moving in, I got to have great relationship with them, because then I share my listings with those people because they might send me a buyer.
Do you ever market consumer direct in those feeder markets? I mean, if a lot of people, you mentioned Bozeman, Montana earlier in the show, there's California and Washington, there's a lot of people moving from those states into Western Montana. So do you ever market directly in California and Washington for the high-end luxury markets in those markets?
Yeah, I mean, I would look at it both a digital and probably a print approach, but I would definitely look at it from video. I think video is the lowest hanging fruit out there. Google's the #1 search engine. YouTube's #2, right? So if you had an amazing YouTube channel, if I was an agent in Bozeman and I knew that I had a lot of California people coming in, I would talk about how I have an expertise in that, how I'm a relocation specialist. I understand the complexities of coming in on short notice and what's important to somebody moving from an overpopulated area like California with high taxes and maybe a crime or security or whatever it might be. And I would address those elephants in the room through a blog, through tons of different videos. So people are starting their search here. And so that's how I would probably start. That's the lowest hanging fruit, and that's probably your best ROI, your return on investment, than versus spending a couple $1,000s for a one-page ad someplace.
I like that. That's awesome. So photos, you're doing all that. So how much do you think the high-end and luxury market is about marketing a lifestyle versus the property features? Because I watched a lot of your videos and even more in preparation for this interview, and it seems like a lot of your videos focus on the lifestyle of the home versus square footage and bedrooms, baths, things like that. So
yeah, so early on in our videos, we'll do the basic bullet points, right? The bedrooms, baths, square footage, special amenities. We'll lead with that, right? Because think of, people are ADD. I'm a perfect example of this. So it's a couple things. So first off, in a video, when you're creating a video, now there's video walkthroughs. You can do that on your smartphone. So whether it be a video walkthrough or whether it be the paid videos where you have the drone and the walkthroughs and the audio and the narration or whatever, there's a lot of different things you can do today. But think of it as, short attention span. Just like a newspaper. If I had a newspaper in front of me, the headline grabs your attention, and then the subheadline, and then bullet points. So look at it as a video the same way. Like, you got to get their attention right off the bat with something unique about the property and some details of the property. So, like, I usually lead with some of the coolest features of a home. So I don't do the traditional, you walk in and there's your den, and then we go room by room. No, like, I'm hitting them with the best up front, and then I'll mix in some miscellaneous stuff, and then your outro, the way you leave the video is important. So intro, the meat and potatoes, and outro, to keep it really simple. And so same thing with your photos. I told you I put a home on just about $2 million, 51 photos. I didn't lead with, front picture, #1. #2, the foyer. #3, the den. No, I led with some of the best unique features up front, because otherwise they're swiping left and they're not interested. So you have to think of it the same way. The consumer wants immediate gratification now. And so you got to think about that. So you might even think of a couple different versions of a video on a home, the short highlight version, like boom, 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 high pace, under a minute, and then the longer version.
I love that, and I love it because what you're saying is relevant in any price point, and maybe it's it's really important in the luxury market, but I've been dealing with expireds for nearly 2 decades, and I can tell you right now there's two things that make all the difference, and sometimes all it takes to relist and sell an expired is price, but besides price, it's 100% the photos. And the difference between professional photos, and where the agent's in the mirror snapping a picture with their phone, it's hilarious sometimes. I mean, we've had a good laugh by looking at pictures that an agent did, and they post 4 of them up on the MLS versus 51. But that's a gold nugget that I hope everybody's taking, is the order of your photos. The order that the person's going to be on there looking through those is really important. Yeah. And you're putting the best features of a home first, not the logical, here's the home on the front, and then let me walk you through the house. I think that's great. So, well, so photos and all of those things. Look, Mike, I know, just so everybody knows, we're operating today on somewhat of a deadline, and I really want, Mike, for you to be able to tell people you have a tremendous amount of free resources that go into much further depth of what we're talking about here. Where can they go and find all of that stuff, and in your YouTube channels, so they can see the videos that you've done? Give us that stuff, and we can hopefully we can post those, kind of in real time here on the back end. But if not, we'll find those and post those in the comments. But tell us where all of these resources are that people can find. Yeah. So again, we have a lot of great free resources out there. I think number one would be our podcast. Like I mentioned, we've released 99 episodes. We do 4 a month. So 2 out of the 4 a month are just short content, 5 to 7 minutes long. The other are interview, kind of like you're doing here, but I'm interviewing leading experts. They can go to iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, just look up Luxury Listing Specialist, or they can go to the website for our podcast, which is just luxurylistingpodcast.com, my vlog, my educational videos, our vlog, video blog is Lux Redefined. That's LUXE Redefined, REDEFINED.com, Lux Redefined. Those are my educational videos. Our YouTube channel is the name of our consulting company, Marketing Luxury Group. You can just look up Marketing Luxury Group. Because of COVID-19, we launched a new series. I just had my 33rd episode today. It's called Luxury Lunch and Learn, where we interview top experts. I had NAREB on today, National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is a great organization. And so that's one of my channels on that YouTube channel. If you go to Marketing Luxury Group, you'll see different playlists, and you'll see Luxury Lunch and Learn. There's some really great content there. So tons of free information. And for anybody that's really committed, they really want to increase their average sale price, they want to dive right in. There's some personality types that just say, I want to get that designation. I want the difference. We are offering a training this week. It's a virtual live designation. It's the first ever, actually, that's open to all brands. One of the things that's really different about our designation, Curtis, is we don't have any previous sales requirements of a luxury home like other luxury designations. So in other words, if you're an agent and you're willing to invest in yourself, I'm willing to help you. I want you to be successful, so you have the tools, the resources, and the knowledge to be successful, because that will raise the bar for our industry versus, hey, go sell a couple luxury homes and then come take our course. Well, guess what? You might fail a couple times because you didn't have the resources, and that hurts us as an industry. So I'm doing a live training this week. They can find out more information at luxurydesignation.com. Luxury Designation, we're recording it, and we do have a special promo for you guys. If you use the term REDX, R-E-D and letter X, it's not case sensitive, but just REDX, you'll get $150 off if they go to Luxury Designation and use the code REDX. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. So give us that website one more time for the training this week.
Yeah, it's this week. I know it's short notice. Obviously, we start tomorrow. It's luxurydesignation.com, luxurydesignation.com. And if this week doesn't work, you can just go to luxurylistingspecialist.com, luxurylistingspecialist.com. That's the actual URL for the designation. Most people get our designation where they get a username and password, and it's self-paced. There's over 16 modules, 10 and a half hours of video content. It's all mobile friendly. They can do it on their smartphone or their iPad, and they could log in as many times as they want over a year to get the content if they need a refresher, etc.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Tell us then again, just to recap, somebody's watching this and they're posting, "Hey, Mike, I want to break into luxury. What's the best advice you could give me?"
The best advice I could give you would be start being a student of the game. There's a lot of free reports out there. There's podcasts, not just mine. I recommend others, right? Get different perspectives. Grow that knowledge and your confidence will grow. I look at real estate as if I were your financial advisor, Curtis, and you won the lottery, your financial advisor would tell you, diversify your portfolio. Well, here we are in July. If you were to look back at the homes you represent from July of last year to today, let's just say an agent sold 20 homes. My goal would be for those agents to add more into those buckets, right? You got the entry level or starter price point bucket. You have average bucket. You have the high-end homes bucket, which is 2 times the average sale price. And you have the luxury bucket, which is 3 times. My goal would be for agents to add more sales in those upper end buckets, still do the entry level and the average, okay? But if you can increase your average sale price, then you can work smarter, not harder. Our industry is one that there's a lot of downward pressure. A lot of people are saying there's going to be a big disruptor. There's a big disruptor. I think we can all agree commissions probably aren't going to be going up because of those disruptors. If anything, going to be going down, and some predict they'll go down 10, 20, 40% over the next 5 to 10 years. So for an agent to sustain or make more money over those next 3 to 5 to 7 years, I think they're going to have to increase their average sale price.
Well, and it's the smartest way to work, right? I mean, if you want to make more money, you can get more listings. You can try to increase your commission, which you just explained. It may be harder and harder, in the future, or you can increase the average sale price of the home that you list and sell.
Yeah, I think that's the lowest hanging fruit personally.
Well, and I think that's a great note to end things on is we want everybody to make more money. We want you to be highly successful. And we started the podcast by letting you know that what Mike is seeing, what we're seeing is that the high end and luxury categories in any market are doing better now than they were pre-COVID. And therein lies the opportunity for you to get on there. The biggest thing, just to recap the biggest thing is your mindset, to make sure that you're there. You can increase that by knowledge, and we give you a ton of resources for that. And then go after it. And you might fail a few times, but you just get back up, hit the reset button, and keep going after it until you get that. And we hope that you do, because we want you to find the opportunity in today's market.
Yeah, I mean, look at it as riding a bike, right? When you learned how to ride a bike, you fell down, you scraped, you cried. It was upsetting, but you didn't stop, and now you ride bikes as an adult. Same thing. You might go on a couple luxury appointments, get doors slammed. They might tell you go to heck and whatever, and you don't do well. But you got to pick yourself up from the mat and just do it, right? Prove others wrong, like my sign behind me says. Prove others wrong.
I love it. Mike, thank you so much for being on the show. You always bring, there's a lot of great stuff in there. So thank you so much for being here today. For everyone else watching, again, let's continue the conversation. I know Mike for almost 15 years. He's an easy one we can get back to and ask more questions to. So if you have questions, post them there. You can post them in our forum, forum.theredx.com, or on Facebook at our Elite Prospecting group, or right here in the comments of wherever you're watching this on the variety of different platforms we do it. So we appreciate you being here and taking the time. Again, if we didn't get to your questions, we can do that in some of those other platforms. That's all we have for you today on today is Monday. On Wednesday, the 15th, we have Nolly Williams and another show at 1:30 Mountain Time. So we hope to see you then. Thank you, everybody for being here. And thank you, Mike, so much for
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.